really matters in real life.
We're good.
And
We're
and
alive.
unfortunately, we think real life is what the world says that is. We don't realize how disconnected we are to God.
And we're actually talking about the verse right at the moment because it kind of fits in a sense.
Well, kind
Yeah.
of, sort of.
It
It's
kind
kind
of
of
sort
like
of
you
fits,
you
but
realize you're giving your life to the job and your job is your worst and then you're filling your role.
Well, it's kind of like where you don't recognize your blessings that God's put right in front of you, your children.
and that's exactly it right there. So, hello everyone. Welcome back to the 90-day devotional. My name is Michelle Rawls, and I am co-hosted tonight with Mr. William Goodwin and Ms. Melanie Goodwin, who let's talk about this for a minute since we've hit our 6-month marker here. All right, so Ms. Melanie created this beautiful book, and Melanie's book will probably show up better than mine, but oh, we're doing good so far. Maybe not. Anyway, Melanie's got her book over there. She's showing you this beautiful book that she made, this 90-day devotional book, a beautiful book that she only thought would just stay out on Amazon. You know, you would pick it up, you would do your own journaling, your own reading, your own prayer time. And when she showed me the book, I said, nope. No, I think we need to take this out to, out to a platform. And here we are. We are in our 3rd week out here live with you all. And we just want to take a moment and thank Mindful Nuggets for sponsoring
Yes, we
us here
do.
on the 90-day devotional. Thank you so much, Mindful Nuggets, for being our sponsors tonight. And Ms. Melanie, our scripture tonight, Psalm 39. Verse 7, which we were just talking about it. I know we kind of got ahead of ourselves, but our scripture tonight is, "And now, Lord, what wait I for? My hope is in thee." All right, Ms. Melanie, what are we talking about here?
Well, I don't know for you, but for me, the world can drain your hope, and you can do all the things the world says is the right thing to do to get the result you're looking for, and then no result comes, no fruit comes. And you begin to wonder, what am I doing wrong? What's going on? I've done everything. And you get disillusioned, disheartened. And most of the time, we don't realize that hope gives us strength to take another step, to make another goal, to continue moving forward and not getting stuck. And if you lose hope, you kind of then withdraw from a lot of things. And a lot of times we put our hope in the world's ways and people's ways, and we overlook the fact that Jesus is the only reason we have any hope in this world, for any reason to go forward. And you need that in your life. It's a vital part of your life so that He can give you a better life and He can open your eyes and reveal new things to you that can get you to a point where you produce fruit and you get the results that you're looking for in a different manner. Because I don't know about for you, but for me, when I make plans and goals, I develop a picture of how I think that's supposed to look. And in my 60 years, I have learned that God never does it the way I think it's supposed to look. He's, he's going to do it His way in His time so that nothing and no one can take any responsibility for it. They can't say I had anything to do with it. It is a complete and utter surprise. It's unusual and unique. And it's only because He has worked it into His plan, what He developed in you. And so I find that, the world is going to suck all the hope and joy and peace out of you if you attempt to live life that way. And it's hard to realize that that's what you're doing when you're trying not to do it. If you're trying to live a better life, deepen your relationship, I have found that the more I try and work at that, the more things come at you to attack you and distract you and suck you back into your original way of thinking, which is how you've been groomed through your education and through the world view of how you're supposed to do things. And it's
That's so
taken me
true.
it's taken me a long time to realize that going by the world's value system and the way they train you and ingrain you is utterly opposite of what the way God would train you up. And it doesn't take more energy and more busyness. It takes more intention and more dedication and more discipline. And then you can hold on to the hope that working in those small areas day by day, getting stronger, better, growing deeper roots, God will get you where He has put the potential in you. He needs you to have the impact He intended for you to have that gives Him the glory and the honor and not you. And that's hard to do too.
I want to talk about that for just a second about hope because I had a situation yesterday, just so we can show our viewers exactly how awesome we are behind the keyboards when we get into our mental mindset and we don't have, I'm just going to say this, we don't have God in our life, because this comment couldn't have come from someone who actually understood that God is working in every direction. There was a lady out on social media yesterday. She was letting everybody know that this was her second round of treatment for cancer. And I placed a comment on it that this is what it said. It said, God works in mysterious ways. Our mindset and how we connect with God is the battle that will get us through the process
Yes.
of the treatment that you're facing. And just keep your faith in God. And I promise you, He works. And someone came back on that comment and said, or you just realize that the world's really chaos and you're going to die.
Well, he's not wrong. It is chaos and you are going to die. But what is your hope set for?
Right. Which
And
is
that's the
exactly what I said. I
disconnect.
choose not to have that mindset.
Yeah.
I choose to have that relationship with God, is what I said, because I know myself, someone who struggled with cancer, someone who did it naturally, not through chemicals. You know, that took a lot of faith, a lot of
Yes.
strength, and I'm here today. She
Well, and
can be too.
you did die to your old self.
Absolutely.
And the world is chaotic and it's not, the order that God had created it for. Because Satan loves chaos and
Oh, does he ever?
distraction. So that is true also, but you chose to hold tight to the hope of God.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I want this woman to do too. Hold on to the hope,
Oh,
because
he's a woman. I said, man.
oh, you're good. That's okay. I'm just saying, overall, no
Well,
matter what, I want people to hold on to the hope
well,
that is out
let's
here.
break that down for a minute because I think this is exactly what this verse is representing. Because it starts with and now. Okay. And what does that mean? And now. Now, David has gone through a lot. He's held things in. He spoke the truth. He's been chased down like a dog. He's tried to be murdered. He's gotten into wars. He's done some things he hadn't done. Okay. And so life is but a vapor. Because if you read up to Psalms a little bit, life is vain, life is short. It really reads to me a lot like class to East. How do you say that word? Class.
The class,
Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, class to East. I have a problem with that for some reason. I don't know why. I
It's
understand it.
all the S's.
Yeah, but see, what it is I've lived life. I've gone through the governments. I've been let down by friends. I've been let down by mankind, essentially. People want to manipulate and control on it. It's all chaos. What's the point?
well, yeah, you have to
But
remember
this is
that
where this is
David not also was being hunted down by the king, but he was loyal to that king. He
I
never
understand
did
that
anything.
he was betrayed.
No, I know
But
Let's be
you
trained.
do, but what I'm saying is people may not realize that he was loyal to that king. He never
right.
did anything
No, that's
to
what he said. He spoke the
manipulate
truth.
himself into power. He
he
wasn't
spoke the
trying to
truth
take
in his
over when
face.
he knew he was going to be king. He still remained just a loyal servant to this king that was in place.
Well, that's another thing because the king said no. Even though the king was supposed to be the bearer of the torch to hand over to David, he said, "No, I ain't doing it.
And that's right. He did say that. He said he
Yeah,
wasn't, that wasn't going
I'm
to
not
Just
happen,
doing
not
which
it."
going
is
to give
why
it
he
up.
sought him
That's
out.
but he told the truth because what is it, Samuel that went and
Mhm.
picked David, anointed David, told him he was going to be king because God was done with Saul.
Right.
All right. All right. So this is exactly the same way the world goes right now. I want to give you something, but I'm not going to give it to you. I decided I
Right.
want to keep it myself and I want to keep it from you. I don't want you to grow bigger than me. I don't want you to go past me. I don't want you to benefit. All these different things the world does. I mean, it comes with wealth, it comes with control, it comes with government, it comes with everything. But it says, and now. And then at the end of it, my hope is in you because that's the only thing that we have that we can hope for, that has hope. That's
Well,
what he
he's our
said.
living water. He's the only thing that can give us
He's the
life.
only thing on this
Right.
planet. That's why I say that woman or that saying is true because when you get beat up by the world, what's the point? We're just gonna die. Why live? We're gonna be in misery. The hope is God is not like that. God is love. Because when you meet God, you're gonna experience God, and God's gonna be the only thing that's gonna be worth on this in this world that we live in, worth a relationship to have and look forward to. Without him, there is no hope.
Well, Michelle knows a little about that. When the doctors tell you there is no more left for us to do, and
They
maybe
told us
that's what that
both.
woman was feeling too, that the doctors were not giving her much hope. And
And that
so,
may be true. That may be true. I don't know the whole
Well, that's
conversation, but
she gave give up. But the thing is, well, if you look at it from that lens, it's like there's nothing left. It's vain. This world is vanity. What's the point of living on? But the thing that we forget, there's some people out there that do love you.
well, not only that, to somebody, you are their world.
Yeah, the
You may
absolutely.
world
not
is,
know that,
yeah,
That's
but you
absolutely
are.
true.
yeah. It's and so that becomes a well, and I said that too before, but I'm selfish like that. I became selfish, and it's like
We're
well,
all
I
selfish,
didn't I didn't want to be here. I wanted to die at some point, and I about got my wish.
but God had another plan.
And a plan. But the thing is, when I say those things, it is self-reflective, selfish of me to say that. I didn't
Right.
think about Melanie. I didn't think about my kids. I just sick of it. I just want to die.
Well,
All
and
And
you
right.
there's
Well,
can
many
feel.
of us out here that are that way. And that's why I want to
yeah,
make sure that people hear this tonight. Somebody, just like Melanie said, you mean more to people than you really realize
when the
because
doctor,
go ahead.
no, go ahead and finish.
I'm just saying that, there are so many people out here today that really do feel lost, just like this individual who comes back and believes that
Exactly.
there's just so much chaos out here that, there's just no hope. And that's not the case. If you find that relationship with Him, with God, it's amazing. And I'm one to, and William, I know you are too. Your heart feels different when you allow that relationship to just happen. It doesn't have to be this deep, long 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour session with God. It's just one small step. He's not asking for you to dive in and say, okay, I want you to give me bow to my knees and read my word and don't come
Yeah,
out of it until I
he's
say
not
so.
like
He
that.
doesn't do that.
Well, it's just like with any relationship, you get to know each other first a little bit at a time. But it's like
Absolutely.
I can tell you what, when I was in the hospital and I was near the end of it, there's this really changed a lot for me. A doctor came in and he said, "Mr. Goodwin, I know you're struggling a lot," and he just patted me on the head, and it was just that little tiny small act of compassion. It's like a little angel that happened to be there because he cared and he knew that I was fighting for my life. And he just shared a little bit of love by touching my head. And it just made it worth it. It takes a little to fill the heart. It really does. And if you'll just allow somebody to feel it and you look around, then life becomes worth living. Because that's what God is about. He's love. He wants you to open up and allow him to love you on it. And then it becomes worth living. I went from wanting to die to I want to live and I want to be a blessing to others because that's the right way. It's the only way to be in
Right.
it. But when we get into we're negative biased, we naturally are, we're programmed that way. And when we get into that mindset, then we go into selfish mode and then we get looking at what's the point. There's always a point. Your light will reflect on somebody else's life. And you may or may not know it, but just be content to know that somebody really, you're going to make a difference in.
Well, I think your key word there was, yeah, kind of got out of your selfish mode.
That was
I
the
want
key
to
word.
I want to
Mhm.
do this for another person, have that same
Right.
impact on their life, that they see me and they see that struggle and they understand that I'm doing everything within my power to get over this hump.
That's right. That's right. I mean, even my husband, was like, Michelle, what are you going to do? Like they're saying you're going to die. I could have gave into that. I could have given into that. And William, you could have too. You could have given in to those doctors telling you, no, no, not a candidate, not a candidate. That could have been your story, but that wasn't your story. He knew.
No,
He
no,
knows.
they just like you, Michelle. They wrote me off. Is go to hospice. You don't pass.
Right,
You're done and over with. You can't survive the surgery. Why waste the parts that are to go
right,
and let somebody else receive it? And all that makes sense. But God decides whether you're going to be here or not them, not the
right.
doctors. And then what the great thing is, we get to look at what's going on with us because there's a reason for that and there's something for us to learn. But when God intervenes in a personal way that you put your name on it personally, he intervened on my behalf.
Yeah,
And that whole script changed for me because love transforms the heart. And that's what we're missing. Like we get so much in our heads. We see things that are so horrible. We shut our hearts down.
yeah.
They
But I just
disconnect.
want to point out something really quickly because I know you two have thought about this. I know you two have. But right after your situation and you're on the mend, you're working through the processes, Melanie gets COVID.
Yes.
And then Melanie goes into a coma. They have to,
Yes.
put Melanie in a coma.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So remind everybody, what was it that you did to help the staff at the hospital to find hope in what was going on with Melanie? Because they didn't know. They didn't know exactly what to do. And had you not been
Well,
there, I'm talking about God's purpose here.
mm-hmm.
You were the purpose to why she and the doctors have a completely different way that they did things in order to help her get well. But not only that, but you helped a hospital actually understand that maybe there is a different way here and maybe we should talk to God about it.
There's two things that happened. We had a whole room. They're they're all debating. It's almost like a room full of lawyers in a sense. They're all looking for different angles. They couldn't solve the problem.
Mhm.
And I said, none of you are going to be able to solve the problem. What we need to do is find the one who can. And then talk to him. That's God. None of y'all are God. And they all
That's
shut up.
powerful.
But
That's a
then you said
moment
something else.
of
You
peace and
asked
quiet.
them, what is it that I can do to help you?
Yeah, you did.
mm-hmm.
You said, "What can I do to help you?" And you let them know that they needed to turn to God. I know Melanie tells a story about how when you were in the hospital, she was so, into making sure that she didn't miss a beat in her faith either with you on the table. And I know them doctors thought that she needed to probably go home and get some rest, but she didn't do that.
No, she never
I
left.
thought I didn't understand that he was critically ill
Right.
because I stayed by his side and spoke to him as I'm speaking to you, and I would read to him. And then I had months previous, I was listening to a televangelist. And for some reason, his words resonated that day. And he said, before I say this, go get a pencil and paper. You're going to want to write these down. And You know, people say that and I don't pay any attention. And I don't get up and go get a pencil and paper. But for some reason that day, I did. And
Mm.
I wrote down exactly what he said. And then they told me that Bill was going to go to Vanderbilt. And I came home and picked my few items out that I figured were necessities. And for some reason, I stopped and picked up those two pieces of paper that I'd written all that stuff down. It's like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but okay. And I threw it in there. Well, when he was in Vanderbilt, I figured out why I was doing that. On that piece of paper, it said, "Thank you, Lord, that you are all powerful, supernatural, working on my behalf, that I have abundance, that you can do what the doctors cannot." And it just had all those affirmations
Right.
that I would read multiple times a day out to myself as well as Bill, so that he would somewhere in there, because he had encephalopathy, so he caught some things and other things it made no sense to him.
Oh, he caught everything. It just may not have looked on the outside like
Exactly.
he caught
His
everything, but he
spirit
caught it.
caught
It
everything.
did. It did.
And then I
It
took a
did.
devotional that a friend of ours had given us, and I read that every day
Paul Tripp.
because, yes, God needed to be present. The spirit needed to come, and I needed to welcome him in. And I needed to remind myself that no matter what these doctors are doing and what they see, and all those screaming alarms that are telling them that things aren't going right, that that's in God's control. And I know they're doing what they know, and I'm doing what I know. And God's going to do what He's had deemed necessary to do at that time.
Yeah,
It brought her peace.
it did.
Was it?
It did. And
And they asked
again,
her specifically, how can you remain so calm when your husband is super critical? And,
God's
and
in control.
she just said, it's fine either way.
Well,
It's
I
going
told
to
the,
be either way.
I had specifically a fellow that asked me that. He came over to me and leaned down and quietly asked me how I did that. And I said, "You're doing everything you're taught to do, but it's not up to you.
That's
It's up
right.
to God. So I'm going to sit right here until God
There
tells me to move elsewhere."
That's
you
right.
go.
That's right. And
Well,
he does talk to you. He does tell you, I mean, there's
He
just like
does.
Lynn, like we were talking about, in Lynn's story, she knew. She knew God had it in his hands, and what it was going to be was what it was going to be. But there was this hope that still comes over you, and I'm sure both of you can relate to this. There's this hope and this peace that comes over you. And that's what we're talking about tonight as we continue in our word tonight, everyone. If you are just chiming in here, make sure that you go to the Mindful Nuggets here and subscribe. Don't leave tonight without subscribing. We have our Mindful Nuggets podcast that is being sponsored here tonight. They are sponsoring us here tonight, but Monday nights, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Come and join us. We've been talking about the gap. All right, so our scripture tonight, Miss Melanie, and now, Lord, what wait I for? My hope is in thee. So I just want to recap really quickly. Who's writing this, Melanie?
David, King
David
David
is.
is right.
Okay. All right. And again, David's being chased by Saul every which way. And
well, I think this is past Saul. I think this is
I
more.
think
I've
it is, but
been
he's
a lot
reflecting.
more. I've gone through a lot of life, and now, Lord, what do I wait on? And I hope my hope is in you.
Well, you know,
It's
he not only had Saul, then his son wanted to usurp his throne.
that's
yeah,
right. That's right.
So he had lots of challenges that he didn't expect. I mean, would you expect that while you already know that you're going to be king, God has told you this? You keep it to yourself and you remain a loyal servant to the king who's on the throne. You don't tell him that you're taking over. You don't try to manipulate or start any rumors to get people to follow you.
You're just waiting for your time whenever God says it
Yeah,
is.
you're just quietly doing your part. And then all of a sudden, somebody tells Saul that they've heard that David's going to be king. And Saul refuses to take responsibility for the fact that he did not follow God's instructions and give up his throne. And that's one of our problems in the world is we don't take accountability for what we have done.
It's so true. So true.
So then he starts doing that, and then David finally does get the throne and has children. And who expects your own child to want to kill you and throw you off the throne?
Mm. Sounds like many things of today that still take place.
Yes, they do.
There's nothing uncommon at all. It's a rinse and repeat.
Yep.
But it's the choices that you also make in
Correct.
who
because
you
the
are
choices
serving.
there are because of the way you view things.
Right.
You only see it in a certain perspective. You don't go back in history. One of the chapters I'll have in the book at some point coming out is we live in history, yet we're poor historians.
And we are
So
poor
let that
historians.
let that sink in for a minute. Because what we just said is already duplicated already. We're
Yeah.
already seeing people go upsert other people. We see people, kingdoms rise, come to power. Iran.
Yeah.
All right. It's also biblically, that's Persia in the Old Testament. And it's already predicted that they will come to power and there'll be a coalition. You had Hitler and you had the Cold War that came after it. Cold War was more of a book in Daniel about the beast and the power. And, Hitler is more the revelation of genocide. All right, so all these things, the end of the world coming and all these things. But what I'm saying is it happened in Rome, it happened in Persia, it happened in Babylonian, it happened always since the beginning of time. These things
happened in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these keep coming and they go. It's like a pendulum. It gets so bad, then it swings the other way. But there's a lot of atrocities, and of course, you look at this and you get depressed. What's the point? David's figured out that I've analyzed this. I've seen life. I've seen it repeat. I've seen misery. I've seen suffering. I've seen all this. Now what?
He's going to
My hope
say,
is in you because
but
it is not in
God.
this.
But God, that's right.
That's it.
So
That's
right.
that's the only thing that you can place hope in because that's where hope comes from. He is the source of hope.
Exactly.
And if you don't have the source, you're unplugged, and that's when things shift into the darkness. And that's when you get lost in it. And what's the point?
Wow. Wow. Okay. So, and I'm hoping everybody is listening out here tonight and paying attention because there's a lot of hopelessness out here in this world, and that is absolutely not the case. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of conversation about how it's hopeless and it's not. It's just taking a moment to realize where you need to build that relationship, who you need to turn to, and why you need to turn to that person.
And what you need to put your hope in.
Exactly.
And just remember you matter. Okay. You were here for a reason. Now, this world's always going to be broken. There's going to be things that aren't just. It's just we live in a fallen world and it was judged back then. That's why Christ came. He was the only way that this problem could be solved because man can't overcome himself. He can't create truth. He can only abide in the truth, and truth is God and God Jesus. I am the way, I'm the truth, and the life. When you abide in him and you put your trust in him, you don't have hope.
And I don't think oftentimes we don't purposely set a course of putting our hope in the world, but because we are programmed by living in the world, we don't stop and reflect how we came to the belief that we have in any given circumstance when you run up against a challenge like cancer.
She just said it perfectly. You don't open the hood and see why you act the way you act. You leave it unchallenged. And when you leave your life unchallenged, then you're going to drift.
And then you get told by the doctors or whatever it is. You get told
you
by your job,
them,
you no longer have a job. Whatever it is that you've placed your hope in, the fact that you're going to work at this same job until you retire. Whatever that is. I mean, there's a multitude of things. Um, those can all come to an end because everything of this world is going to come to an end. And that's the reason you can hope in the Lord is because he doesn't come to an
I
end.
think
He's eternal.
That's right.
exactly.
That's right.
I think if we distill this down a little bit, it's the moment that you come in life that you surrender, quit trying to control the story of your life.
True.
And then you put your trust in God, your hope into God, because he knows what your story is. He wrote it for you. So it's that moment. I've come to that moment. And it took me a long time. It's like I don't want to control it anymore. I don't care to. I don't need to. I have somebody that is looking out after me, who loves me, and I can depend on him 100%. He has not broken a promise.
Well, it's like taking somebody and say, they can see somebody juggling all the, those wonderful jugglers of all the plates, and they can keep them all up in the air and nobody breaks them. And then they turn to you and they go, okay, it's your turn without any training. You're
When
going
somebody
to
throws a plate at you and then bounces you off,
struggle
it's
Absolutely.
going to
so
fly
Absolutely.
apart.
hard
Which
to
is
really,
why we encourage anyone, who is at this point that we're talking about tonight, where hope has been a conversation, is a conversation. This is where we want you to come and join us and be a part of
yes,
what we're doing
please.
here.
We'd
We want to
love
pray
to
for you. We
pray for
want to
you and
love
lift
on
you
you.
up.
We want to be here for you and help you through those moments, at every moment and give you a place to start, right, Melanie and William? This is a great place to start. Come in, hear the word, let's speak upon it. And the next thing you know, you're really diving into the word and you're wanting to know more because he's coming inside and he's like, yes, let me fill you up here, child. Just let me fill you up.
Yes, he'll illuminate the word to you when he sees that you have a need.
That's right. That's right. You'll feel
You
that
may be
tug. It comes right at you.
you may be in some dark spaces. I mean, real dark. I mean, we all been there, all three of us, and
Yeah.
we know a lot of people been there. And a lot of people do give up, but you got to ask yourself where you don't anchor your hope. What are you going to anchor your hope in? Because there is hope, no matter how bad it is. There is hope, and remember, this life
It's
is a
fleeting.
vapor, and it is fleeting, and it will end. Okay, and that woman was right. It will end. But that's only one chapter.
But
I've
it
been
doesn't
through.
have to end from cancer.
No,
Many
Right.
people survive cancer
That's right.
and
Michelle's a
have
perfect
wonderful,
example of it.
beautiful lives.
Absolutely. I've met so many people like myself who have, beat cancer in all different ways of cancer too. I mean, I had a gentleman yesterday who we hope to have on our podcast, our Mindful Nuggets podcast on Monday, but he even said, wow, I'm surprised that you beat it. He goes, and not quite honestly, he goes, I'm surprised I beat it. But yeah, we both came back and said it was God's will. It's
It
what
was God's
he
will.
has in store for us, and we realize what our purpose is. We didn't realize it at first, and Melanie and William can attest to this, we believed that we were supposed to do all these things, go to school, get a job, work our lives, to the bone. And the next thing you know, wow, God's got jokes. He has a different plan for you.
Yep, you're
So,
relying on the wrong system. But,
right.
that's the system you're programmed into
Yep,
without even recognizing that that's what's happening.
absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
worth living, and even if it is God's will to take you home, I can tell you that place is a lot better than here because I got to visit it
Yeah.
for a brief moment in time.
Yeah.
And you don't want to come back here. All right, that didn't say go, off yourself by any means.
No, we're
Okay,
not talking
what
about
I'm,
that. We're
what
saying
Oh,
I'm
that,
saying is
there's
that
a
is
purpose.
hope. There's if this is something that you can live with this, knowing there's much better. There will not be any tears. There will only be peace. There will be love. There will be none of this here. and it's so much better there. That is the hope, because
That's
you
right.
will get there one
That's
day,
right.
and you will wake up in front of him, and you're going to be enamored by him if you believe in him and one of his children. You won't know what to do with yourself because it would just overflow from so much love. You just will be stunned, and you will forget about this place here because you will be in his perfect love. Now, I can tell you,
So true.
it's just something you just something you can't get over. It transformed me. I mean, I was very logical. I was very headstrong. And in fact, everything is my head disconnected from the heart. I believed, but I didn't believe. When I came before him, there was no question. And there was no question who I was. I was his creation. He was the creator, but he was also love. And when you taste that, you feel it, you just experience it. You're changed forever. You will never come back to be the same. And that's what God does if you allow him to come into
Amen.
your life.
He can change you forever for this life as well.
That's right. That's right.
Well, he
Absolutely.
did, because I'm still here.
We all are.
Yeah, we
We
all
all
are
three
still here.
are. I mean, he very well could have said, you know what, Melanie, it's time. You've served and
Mhm.
it's time to go home. And he could have very well said, William, you were here and you understand what the dark side looks like. I brought you back to the light and I can go ahead and take you here.
I know.
It's not your time. It's not your
I
time.
know, I wouldn't complain. I was happy where I was at.
Me neither. I wouldn't have complained because I was blissfully ignorant of what was going on out here.
And the same, the same here with me. I mean, very well, I could have given in to the doctors and said, okay, this is the chapter, that he's written. But he came over me and he told me that was not my story. And
Right.
that's the same for both of you as well, not your story.
Definitely.
And it's the same for so
Receive.
many people out here today. It's not their story. They're living in a story, but it's not their story. If they'll just take a
He's
moment
just giving
each
you a
day.
little test so you'll have a wonderful testimony.
Absolutely.
Looks like our
Absolutely.
dog's being played with in the background.
It is. There are some companion scriptures. There's Hebrews 6:19, which says, we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and steadfast. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain.
Anchors.
Uh-huh. Then there's Psalms 38:15. I wait for you, O Lord. You will answer, O Lord my God. And I like to cling to, I know he's going to answer in his time and his way.
And that's it right there. Patience and some self-control. Because I was telling William, that is my the whole devotional this week is all about self-control. And believe me, he's talking this week. He is speaking this week.
It's hard to get your emotions under control. And I find, as you have, that the more you get into his word, he will show you the words to say, to speak over your spirit that's angsting.
That is
And
very true because in the very beginning, I was not that good. As I would tell William, I want to be better at how I speak in prayer and how I just speak to him overall. And what are we? A little over a year now in my real commitment. I mean, I've made a deeper commitment for 26. We're 5 months in almost to that. And I've even noticed in the
Wow.
past 5 months the difference in
Mhm.
how I speak to him and have conversations with him. And not only that, but how I speak to other people.
Right.
Whenever he brings those people to me, and I know. It's very interesting, and I'm just so grateful. I mean, if I could encounter a situation, the first thing I do when I get that time to be to myself is say thank you. I now realize why you brought that person to me, and I say I'm grateful. I would have never done that before because I wasn't seeing where those people were supposed to be.
Well,
Mhm.
that's like I report historians. When things happen real time, we're not certain. We have a better lens in the history after it occurs. We can see it. It's just like we can look back on our lives now. We can see how all that fits in now and why it's meaningful. But the path before it's only lit so far. And it's meant to be that way.
Right. So
Because if
you'll
it's lit
rely
the
on
whole
him.
way, you're not going to trust God. You're not
He
going to build
wants
a
you to stay
relationship.
tethered.
Yeah, and you'll get scared from it, and you may not want to commit to it. There's a lot of different reasons, but there's a reason. We have a very small light in front of us, and we get trust. And what's behind us, He helps us see that. The problem is we like to live in it, and that's why we have all this chaos, because we can't let go of the stories, we can't let go of the history or the past. Today we get to live presently, and we're not worried about tomorrow, because that just creates the anxiety, and it creates things that we will second guess in our life, and that may not be God's will. So we get that trust. That's an important thing, is we get to trust, and that only comes from building a relationship.
And I'm sure you found, Michelle, that when you're speaking, he will bring to mind scriptures that you don't even realize you know.
That's right. It's becoming more and more. The deeper I continue the relationship, the deeper, those scriptures are becoming to me. The more I am speaking those scriptures out, and I just continue to look forward to that because it's what I want. It's what I've asked for. That it touches me
Spirit
people as
brings
He's
it to
asking me
you.
to touch that day.
That's the God within you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the
He,
spirit
he,
within me
he
that
brings.
is wanting. You can just feel that want. I mean, it's every day. And I promise you, if I don't actually stop, I'm gonna say disobey that feel, I feel guilty then because I didn't stop when he asked me to stop and take a break and just read his word or dive into what he told me. So I'm very aware of what is, in this transformation process of me, what's going on. And so I'm being very vigilant with that.
Well, I mean, it's a very interesting perspective. We have a body that's coded like DNA from our parents and all those, science and all that stuff. But in fact, all it is a container for a soul that was designed by Him. So in a sense, your body is filled up. You're a corpse until the soul goes in. If the soul goes out, you're a corpse.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you put the soul in it, that's the uniqueness of God that He's created for you in person. This is the vessel we walk in. And this is why we need to learn to take care of this vessel in order to house you, the real
Right.
you, the real you inside that you don't see in the mirror. But what makes you up, your essence of you, your soul, your spirit.
So true.
God's spirit walks with you, is in you, and it guides you. And it's a connection. That's the weird thing about it. I don't know how to explain it, but when I came out of my body, you got everything with you except for this, this
Your
mess.
clay vessel.
Yeah,
Yep.
this
The clay
mess.
vessel, it just
Right.
had to do its own healing on its own
But
time. But
you don't see yourself, but everything is there. Your memories, you can see. You just don't breathe, or it's just weird. It's just like unplugging, taking the lid off, pouring you out, and here you go.
Yep.
On it. But this is where we go. But this is what we focus on first. We feed it, we build it, we do all these things, but we starve the essence of you because we don't feed it. The word is like milk. It's nourishment. Everything that is in you needs to come first before everything else, and you're going to be in alignment. If you don't do that first, eventually it's going to catch up with you.
That's right.
It'll be out of alignment, and it's going to cause the way you think to not be thinking what the word, the truth is, and it's going to cause your body to not align either, and it's going to show cracks, fissures, and things from that misalignment, and eventually it will break.
I
And
just
that's
like how
what
you
happened.
said it's going to grow if you feed it, because Michelle knows full well that if you feed it the right things, it will grow and be fruitful.
It will.
Fruitful,
It
right
will
there.
be fruitful. That's it right there. The
Not bitter
spiritual
fruit,
fruit.
but
Yep.
sweet fruit.
Sweet fruit.
Fruit
That's
in a
right.
glass.
You got to feed it nourishing, real food.
I mean, it's no different than you feeding your body. You need to feed your body to nourish, right? To nourish the body. Well, if you're not feeding the spirit, then it dries up as well. The
Well, he
body
says
dries up,
he
the
is the
spirit dries up.
bread and the wine. These
Mhm.
words in here are the bread and the wine to nourish you.
Well, and that ties back into hope because that
Exactly.
gives you hope. When you
Exactly.
start really reading the word, it brings you hope.
And
Oh, I amen to that one.
he intends for us to have expectant hope of what
Exactly.
he is going to be doing in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Kind
That's
of a
why we
joyful
pray
excitement, like what's
to get
next,
expectant
Right,
hope.
exactly. It is a joyful excitement as to what's next, you know. There's
which
not
is
a
a different light to look at this verse too. What's next
yeah,
and
yeah,
now.
what's next? Exactly. What is my
Yeah.
hope? My hope
It
is
doesn't
in
have to be
thee.
bad.
What do
In
I
Well, we
wish
fact, once
should
you
for?
start
be
speaking that way, that I
we
have
should
hope
be
for a
looking
better life.
forward to the adventure that he is going to bring to us.
Melanie, you said something the other day. I think it was it you or somebody that at some point we are young and we're adventurous and we like going adventures, and then
It was me.
yeah, it was you. At some point we lose
We
that.
lose that sense of
Yeah,
adventure and it becomes dread.
Because we allow the world to mold us into fear. Oh, I don't want to go back out there because I remember what happened the last time I went out there.
Exactly.
Or I don't want to do this because I remember what happens, you know, whenever I do this. So I want to, you know, make sure that we're just so molded by the world and allow the world to dictate.
we become dronified.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
That's a
we're not
new
sitting
coined word,
quietly
dronified.
with him
Right, because the world keeps us so busy.
and we're choosing
What
it. We're choosing it.
right, and then
Well, we don't realize we're choosing it. We
I think
choose a
I,
vicious cycle of it.
I think too
And
we settle for a lot.
We
We
do
and I
just
think
settle.
accept we just accept it for what it is, and then we lose
we
the
get
lust
into a
of the joy of
mindset of
life.
that.
Absolutely,
Exactly.
I
You
agree.
don't realize that there is an exit because you don't see any ramps like you do on
Yeah, no off
roads.
ramp.
Right.
It's
You just
just
see a continual
right.
circle and you're like, I'm trying, I'm working,
And
I'm doing
yet,
all the things, and
all
I
it
want to get off
takes,
this Ferris wheel.
right, but all it takes is just you sitting down like you do every night before you go to bed. You're in that bed, unless you're just dropping in that bed. But I promise you, if you'll just take 5, 10 minutes to just have that conversation, the next day, your heart, it's different,
It is.
different. And you want to know what
Absolutely.
that is.
You do have to do a few little things. You have to shift out of phase with the world.
Right?
You have to shift what you're shoving into your body. You have to
Mhm.
shift what you're shoving into your head. You know, all the movies and secular music,
Yep.
those are all geared towards keeping you in phase with the world. And you do have to shut that off in
Right.
order for you to put something else in.
Exactly. That's filtered inputs,
Yep.
and it creates a certain output. And if you
But we
don't
do
like your
kind of want,
output,
when
so
I
if you
used to hear that movie, that music, Zombies,
No.
yeah, by the
Yeah.
it
cranberries.
made me, in my mind,
Yeah,
it made me picture the human race as we are because we don't realize
I
how
think she was getting at that
zombified we
actually.
are and
I'm
how
pretty sure that
non
that's what that song
thinking.
means is that we are all zombies because
We're
we
not
are
thinking
programmed.
about what we're doing. We're just making the motions
We're like
that
a
we've been
computer that
taught.
just AI that keeps talking and putting it on out. AI just says this. Oh, that's what that is. Oh, that is. Yeah, and that's what we're doing.
Right. So if you don't like your output, check your inputs, and
That's
also
right.
check the
That's
system.
that
Check the
takes your
system too,
energy.
because the input can get distorted with the system, creating a bad output. So
And you
So
know, when that woman was putting that out about her cancer, she needed your input that said,
absolutely. And I
wait a
really feel
minute,
that, yeah.
just stop and sit for a minute
Yep. There was a
and
great
have a
conversation there, but
pause, a very powerful pause.
yeah, powerful pause. Oh,
And
I like that. Powerful pause.
we're so bad at using our powerful pauses because the world has ingrained to us that you're not supposed to be in pause, that that's a guilty, shameful thing. And it's not, it's a necessary thing.
Stress causes cancer. I'm just gonna put that
Well,
out there.
it's like that stress cycle. You can't stay in that stress cycle with all those high emotions, high chemicals, your body burns itself up. Basically, you can
Yes,
burn
it
your
does.
adrenal glands out,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't fix that. Once you've done it, you can fix it. But it's because you just stay in that constant high stress, high cortisol, high hormone levels to get you to run from the tiger. But now there's no tiger. You just stay in that. You create your own tigers.
It's the Wizard of Oz all over again.
It really
It
is.
is. Mhm.
But the thing is, do you realize you were being that way?
That's the problem right there.
That's the
Is
problem.
That's
Nobody's stopping
awareness.
to realize that that
Do you
is where
really
they are.
do you realize what you're carrying, and what you're straining yourself is not what you're meant to carry in the first place, until you stop and come to full stop, and I say, look, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
and
That's not supposed to be like that.
that's how God gets you to your full stop. He says,
He'll
this
stop you.
body is going to stop you because I
That's
can't
He
what I
will
get you to
stop
said.
you.
stop
Yeah.
any other way.
God's got great jokes, I'm telling you. And
Yeah.
whenever when you turn around and you get a full halt placed upon you, you will see, you will
You'll
feel.
see that the world doesn't matter so much, that the relationship between you and he does
That's
matter
right.
so much.
Well, it does start putting a crack in the, I hate to say it, the matrix,
Mm-hmm.
to where you can start seeing some fallacies that you've
Yeah.
been taught to believe in that aren't as rosy colored anymore. Your glasses get removed. You start seeing things as they really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You
he does
start
that on
questioning
purpose. I
why.
truly believe he does that on purpose. He's like,
Oh,
okay, now
absolutely.
is the time to remove the blinders from your eyes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The rose-colored glasses get knocked right off.
They
See
sure
the world,
do. Or
see
you
the
get
world for
knocked
what
right
it
off. One
is.
of the
Right?
two.
Well, that comes from experience living life not the right way,
Right.
but the way you were told, the script you were given, the roles that you believe that define you, that really are not your true identity.
Well,
All
perfect
those things.
example of that is Paul, correct? He got knocked off his horse, fell to the ground, tried to recover, and his sight was
Well, he's
taken
next in
from him.
line to be the head Pharisee, and he
And God said,
was
no, that is not my plan. You are not going to be the Pharisee. I'm going to take this sight
now.
from you. So you have to stop and you have to get into the company of my people who's going to come take care of you. And I will reveal my truths to you. And he does that still today.
That's right. I mean, God hasn't changed since the day of the very beginning.
He's never going to
It
change.
laid it out. He's not supposed to change. He's the constant.
Right.
Correct. The rest of it's all variables, but he's
Exactly. We're
constant.
the variables. He's the
Yeah,
constant.
without that, we'd have no anchor, and then we'd really be messed up.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah,
Absolutely true.
but yeah,
Well,
it
but
really
without that, we wouldn't be staying on the planet. Everything would be
no,
burning up in the
we wouldn't
atmosphere.
exist. We wouldn't exist. It wouldn't matter.
Exactly. Because
He'd have
we'd all
taken away a
burned
long
up.
time ago.
No, he's the one who created us all anyway, from the beginning to the get go. So it doesn't matter. The thing
He's
is,
the cornerstone. As long as we're
he
all
is peace
touching
and
him, we
order and
exist.
purpose, love, all those things, and everything else. And when you downstream of God, becomes chaotic.
Hmm.
And how far are you going to let yourself go is the question.
He's going to let you get to a point where you're going to run out of you.
You
And then you're
don't,
going to have
yeah,
to turn
preferably beat your head up
somewhere.
against the wall till you knock yourself out, and then you'll stop because you
Well,
can't do
that's
it
just like
anymore.
nursing. They say, oh, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Well, when you stop breathing, we'll start doing something about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly how that works.
So it's unfortunately that's what it takes for us to open our eyes.
It does for a lot of
But
us.
but you don't have to. That's what we're saying.
Right.
No, no,
But you
no.
get so
You can
ingrained in
choose a different
in
path.
your routines and the way you are, you don't look up. You don't become aware of what's really going on. And this is one of the reasons why we're really here. To say, hey, hello, wake up.
We
Red
want you to
red
wake
pill, blue
up.
pill, what's your choice? All
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
All right. So, you can continue on until you run into that wall and you fall over, and you may or may not survive it. But you got a moment here that said, hey, there's more to life than what you think there is. and there's a higher calling for you, and it's worth it you walking on that path because it will transform your life. And we're going to introduce you to the guy that can really transform your life
Right.
and bring it purpose and bring it.
Yep, and you
Fun.
don't have to do anything to correct yourself.
He'll do it for you.
He'll do all the work if you'll just come.
All you have to do is
You
come.
do the work too. You roll up the sleeves, but he
Well,
will
you
lead the
do.
way.
There is.
He will lead the way and show you what you need
But
to
the
do to get to a
difference
spot.
is when you're doing the work, he's shifted the desires of your heart. So now it doesn't feel
It
so
did.
work.
That's the thing. The world gets dim, and when that verse, I didn't really believe that verse. The things of this world grow strangely dim. They do.
They do.
I have no desires for a lot of these things on this earth that people covet it and idolize. They have no value to me anymore.
Well, I dare
Because
say a
they're
Maybe
lot of
what we
things.
people.
see out here that we, looking back, which I'm sure Melanie and you both, looking back to what was so important to us. And now even my husband will say, wow, like that's quite the change, really. And it's just those things don't matter like they used to because he has shown me that those don't matter. That's not what was to matter. When you have three children,
They
that when
matter.
they're telling stories and you say, where was I?
Mm-hmm.
And they look at you and they say, oh, mom, you were working. And it's about every story. And I'm like, where was I? You were working. At that time, I had no idea that my three children should have been the whole goal. Working should not have been the goal. My children should have been the goal. Now I
But
get
see,
it. We
they
have tug of
shifted
wars with us
that
all the
just
time.
a little bit to where in your mind you were doing it for your children.
Well, that is exactly what's in my head. I did it for you. Roof over your head, clothes on your back, sports you wanted to play, all these things, cars you wanted, when you turn 16. So of course, that's the first thing that goes
Except
through
you
our
But
weren't
head.
you
present.
were the most important key to that.
Yeah,
You
you weren't
were.
Exactly.
present, just like us. We weren't present.
We
They
weren't
didn't care about
present.
all
I
those
was
things.
not
They just
present.
And
wanted to.
you don't
Yeah,
realize it in the moment that you're
yeah.
trading those things off.
You don't, because
Because
that's
you
what you're
do,
supposed to do.
you bought
That
into that illusion that
right.
if you worked hard enough, you could provide for your children.
And believe
Well,
me, I've got a 29-year-old kid sitting here, or 28-year-old kid sitting here with two kids going, Mom, I'm working every day. I don't get to spend any time with my children.
that is the trap.
And that is where he's struggling right now.
That's the trap. And the reason why it's a trap, you make just enough to hang yourself for most of us, or it actually drown. And we're trying to get back on the surface. And it's
Yeah,
always been like that.
it's
And because
amazing when God shows you that you can live with less
Right.
and, not have to have money that they say makes the world go round because God will provide.
He does, always. He always does.
And you can buy back precious time with your children, whether it's an hour, whatever it is, that you're actually present, interacting, and making a memory that they'll never forget. That's imprinted on them.
Right.
As Bill said, when he left his body, his memories and everything went with him. And we just don't realize how important that truly is.
Yeah. Yeah.
the world's always going to say, well, if you work hard, I'll give you a little bit more. Now, if you keep performing for me, then there'll always be this little carrot for you to keep you performing. But when the
That's right.
performer runs out, there's nothing left to give. Then you sacrificed everything you had.
Yeah,
And
and
you
you don't
missed the mark.
realize you're doing that
You
either.
missed the mark. You
You
missed the
did.
most important things in your life. And that's when you lay on that table when you're drawing your last breath, asking, what was this life for?
Right. Right. And it doesn't have
Why
to be
did I
that way.
live like that?
Doesn't have to be that way.
It does not. And that's what
No,
we're
but you
coming.
do have to do intentional changes.
That's
You
right.
do have to use some discipline.
Yeah.
And, you just have to make
Live a purposeful life.
Yeah.
Make it
purposeful
count.
decisions to get to
Getting
what
you to
you
a point.
truly believe is the important things in your life.
Now, where's
I
your
think
hope
my
coming?
most eye-opening moment was when he led me to the fruit of the spirit as far as that verse is concerned. And that's when I really realized, wow, none of that had I been doing at all. There was not, the love, the joy, the peace. I
Because the world
definitely
wants you
didn't
to
have
have fruit,
patience.
Michelle.
Yeah,
Huh?
there's
They
no
don't
room
want to take
left
their
for
fruit
it.
away from you.
Right. And that's just it. The world takes that fruit away from you.
Yeah,
Well, because it separates you from the vine.
Absolutely.
that's,
Absolutely. And if you
that's
pay
right.
attention, love, joy, peace, patience, self-control, what is that? That's all, of
Every one
I
of them
like
is
to
a
look at
fruit.
the tree of life, right? The tree. Let's
Mhm.
just look at a tree. The tree loves no matter what, right? It loves you no matter what. 'Cause it's gonna be here, it's gonna bloom every year, it's gonna die off every year, it's gonna come back every year. That's it's here. It's constant, right?
Well, it doesn't die off. It just goes
It
down
just
into the
goes into
roots.
right, comes back into the ground.
And then
What
it
it
comes
does,
back out.
comes back out, and then it comes back out. And then you have the joy of that, right? Because it goes in. I mean, you got to really find the beauty in this because it's really everything he created. Then you have
Exactly.
peace,
If
the
you look
peace
to
that it brings,
nature,
right?
he'll give you the answers right in
He
nature. He
does.
really does.
He does. Yeah,
He
and
does. There's the
that's
peace, upon it,
we only duplicate. We only duplicate what's already been created.
Absolutely.
But the
But
Absolutely.
thing,
we're
the thing,
really blinded to his natural gifts that would show us the way. Sorry, Bill, go ahead.
no, 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 no. It's fine. I was just saying we forget that we're branches on that
Hmm.
tree that bear fruit. But
That's
We
right.
want to be trees.
our job is not to make the fruit.
Right.
All right, the vine, the root system that provides all the nourishment, we let that flow go through us in order for
Exactly.
the fruit to develop. The work's already done. It was done from the seed that was planted and it grew into the tree. The tree grew branches, then it blossomed, then it started developing fruit.
Yep.
It all has to work together. But when the branch becomes the vine, the branch is actually broken away from the vine. It's on the ground thinking it's the vine, but it's withering and it's going to die.
See,
And
I'm
there'll
too
be no
busy
fruit.
trying to break away from the vine, drop
Right.
off, and replant myself. And I can't do any of that by myself.
No,
I'm going to have to require, even to plant a new apple tree, you're going to have a carrier and you're going to have to let the fruit wither away to get to the seed.
That's right.
so that's the point. Let
That's
God work
absolutely
through
true.
you. The work's already been done. Just stay attached to the trunk, the vine, the tree trunk, whatever you want to call it. You stay attached to that. Just be the branch. Receive what you need to receive in order to get it out to where it needs to go. When you're doing that, then your burden's light. Your
Amen.
job's easy.
Amen.
You're
Well, here's
designed for
what
that
I liked
purpose.
when you said that, Michelle, is that for some reason, all this time that we've been talking, I'm thinking rest assured, because you
Mm-hmm.
can relax back. There is no branch on a tree that holds itself in it.
Nope.
And
Nope.
it doesn't put any energy into that. We're so busy putting energy into standing up straight, being independent, doing our own thing, providing our own way, that
You're
it sucks
breaking
every
off
bit
the
of
tree trunk and trying to go
energy
plant
out of
yourself.
us.
It
And
ain't
he would
working.
gladly give you all the energy you need.
That's absolutely true.
Well, that's because
Absolutely true.
nourishment comes from Him and it flows through you. If you
Right.
unplug, I mean, just a battery, simple as you unplug from the source, you're on drain out. You don't operate fine. Your phone, for example, you're operating fine, and all of a sudden you get down to 8%
Nothing
battery, and
yet.
all of a sudden you're going, where's the source? And then you
Right.
die if you don't find the source.
Yeah, most of the time you're running.
Most
You're
Now
time
there's
you're
running, you
people
running,
start
running
around
paying
this
again.
that
because you
That's
run.
right.
realize you
Running
separated the
again.
source.
They're like, plug me in anywhere, please.
That's right.
Wherever you are, plug me in. I need a plug.
All right. Well, I think
All
we're
right. Well,
about an hour out here.
absolutely, we are. We are. We're a little over an hour. So thank you everyone for spending your time with us tonight. Again, our sponsor is Mindful Nuggets, and we appreciate you being here with us tonight. Please make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Really quickly, next week, our scripture is Lamentations, and that is chapter 3, verse 24. And here's our verse for next week. The Lord is my portion,
Mm.
saith my soul. Therefore will I hope in him.
He is enough.
So we're
He is
going to talk
enough.
about that next week. Make sure you come back and join us
You
right
know,
here.
you know what Lamentations is? You know what lament means? We're a bunch of
Not
complainers.
not the real definition, but
We lament over a lot,
We
and
do.
we forget who we're plugged into, and he graciously provides our portion, and we still complain that we don't have enough.
We don't realize we've gotten our portion. We don't realize we get our own blessings. We stumble right on top of them because they're
So this is going to
no,
be a
packaged
we're too
great
busy
differently.
conversation
complaining,
next
and
week.
complaining's a sin.
Yeah,
Complaining is a
It
sin.
it is.
is.
Even
We-
huffing.
That's
So
right.
this evening before you go to bed, plug in your charger to the source.
Oh, amen. Amen. That's right. Get to the source. All right,
The
everyone.
your
Thank
true
you for
source.
absolutely. Okay, well, that was our nugget for you tonight. We hope you appreciated our time here with you. We know we appreciate you being here with
Most
us. And
definitely.
make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if we need a prayer over you, please come to our comments. Let us know what prayer you need, and we'd be more than happy to pray over you. All right, well,
Yes.
that's a wrap for tonight, Mr. William and Miss Melanie. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
being here
Michelle.
tonight. And we will see you all next week.
Be blessed.
God bless. It will come. Next week comes fast. I realize some reason the older you get, the velocity increases. Somebody explained that one scientifically, would you? But
Amen.
God just mean it to accelerate that fast. We're just too busy. We need peace. We slow down. God bless everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. We love you. Please leave your comments, and if we can pray over you, please do. We will definitely do that. All right.